Welcome back to the Corporate Gossip Podcast. I'm your host, CPA Score and Becca Platsky. I'm here with my co-host,
out-of-office reply guy, Robby Slovic.
Robby. Today we're talking about two very fun, very juicy stories that are right in our sweet spot. We're talking about two alleged wire frauds. The first is involving Phoebe Gates, and the second is involving Selena Gomez.
That's big. Selena Gomez, she's not supposed to show up on the Corporate Gossip Podcast.
It's true. This is our sweet spot.
Yeah.
This is where we really thrive. And there is a thread that connects these two scandals. And it might not be what you think, right? Because of course you're thinking, girl fraud or influencer or, whatever it might be. But the thing that I think, the thread that binds these two frauds is what I like to call the bippity-boppity-boopification of venture capital.
Okay.
Okay. This is what happens when, for example, a very wealthy angel investor will sprinkle $1 million on a pre-revenue company. Do you know what it means to be pre-revenue?
Yeah, they've done nothing. They're just they're not a real company. They're an idea at this point.
Exactly. And in exchange for, say, 1% equity. And bada bing, bada boom, your company is now worth, in valuation terms, $100 million.
Right.
That is not a valuation method that I was taught at CPA school.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm a CPA scorn, because I spent 7 years of my life dedicated to math that seemingly doesn't matter anymore.
Sure. But what I do know of bippity-boppity-boop economics is that at a certain point, usually the carriage turns back into a pumpkin.
Sometimes. Sometimes. I mean, you could look at Elon Musk. I mean, you could ride that thing till the wheels come off and you'll be in Albania and all the shareholders are holding the bag.
Yes. And his head is the pumpkin.
And, when I was in CPA school, I learned different ways that you actually should value a company. You could do a discounted cash flow analysis. You could open the company's books and take assets minus liabilities, and that would be your valuation. And I know those might sound difficult to you, but I promise you it's not unless you're a billionaire. Then it's something you can't even overcome.
Oh, right.
It's too hard. I feel like I just learned all these different ratios and methodologies just for venture capital influencers to get on the stage at South by Southwest and preach a vibes-based investment strategy that they came up with on an Adderall bender. I'm like, what the hell? And so the investors that got swindled in the stories we're going to be telling today did seemingly none of the due diligence that I had just described. This episode is fun and it's wacky, but I also think there is good lessons to be learned here about the impact of the rise of vibes-based investing that is only possible, in my view, when you have a small number of people who have a ton of money burning a hole in their pocket.
Right.
Because people with money to lose, people who care if they lose money, don't invest this way.
Right.
It's only people for whom money is no object.
Yeah.
And what it does is it creates an epidemic of stupid rich people at scale.
Yeah.
Because one of them can create 10 more of them who can then create 10 more of them. We're going to start with an update on the Phoebe Gates Phia situation. And then I want to spend the bulk of the episode talking about Selena Gomez's mental fitness company called Wondermind. So you ready to get into it?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. Corporate gossip number 1 is Sydney Sweeney's double Ds. I'm talking about due diligence, you maniacs.
Wow.
I just know I went crazy with the titles of these corporate gossips. We talked about the Phoebe Gates Phia fraud briefly in an episode we did for Patreon on nepobaby fraud, but there have been a few new developments since we last discussed it. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to bring everybody up to speed and do a little bit more of a discussion. So Phia is a comparison shopping extension for your Chrome browser, and it's also an app. Comparison shopping is a decades-old business model that they pitched as revolutionary.
If you think about shopping, it really hasn't developed that much. We have these great luxury e-commerce sites. We have Amazon where I can get my toilet paper in 2 minutes. Or the consumer who's shopping 24/7, why isn't there a tool that can just show me, boom, instantly the resale value of an item? And does it exist cheaper somewhere else or on the secondhand market? And let me have all my wish lists and have curated collections. That should exist already. And so we're getting feedback constantly, but users are also informing us of, hey, this is the next feature I want. This is actually one I want to see.
Robby, do you remember the allegations against them?
Cookie stuffing.
Cookie stuffing.
Yes.
Do you remember what that was?
Of course, I remember what cookie stuffing is. So that is basically their business model was they offer up coupons and stuff automatically at certain sites. And if you use one of their coupons, then you are the last thing before the point of sale. So Phia gets credit for the sale.
Yeah.
But they were cookie stuffing. So in other words, just if you had Phia downloaded and then you bought anything, it would act as though you had used their coupon and they were the last point of sale. So they're basically lying, even if another company was the last point of sale or whatever, they're stealing that commission.
So if you had actually clicked on a product through, say, Wirecutter or The Strategist, and what you're describing is basically the only way that news outlets these days make money is through this type of affiliate link. If you had clicked on a link through any of those websites, it wouldn't have given the commission to the New York Magazine or New York Times as deserved. It would have instead given that commission to Phia. So they were stealing commissions. And then there was another allegation against them. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. Okay. So they were also like stealing private information. Like they were taking screenshots of whatever was on your desktop, be it your bank account or just, whatever weird thing you're watching.
Yes. Yeah. Sensitive data, bank statements, private email accounts. And then that was transmitted back to Phia servers. They didn't describe what they would be using that for, but you can imagine how valuable that data is to their partners. In both cases, once these allegations were made public by Bloomberg and Forbes, respectively, Phoebe Gates and her co-founder, Sophia Kiani, responded to the press saying basically, wow, I didn't know that. You're telling me now for the first time. They go, this was a total glitch. We're going to fix this right away.
We'll handle this. Yeah.
Don't worry about it. But as Bloomberg now reported as of last week, there is evidence that indicates Phoebe and Sophia knew and encouraged this type of cookie stuffing as it was critical to their operations, or as Phoebe Gates calls it, super core to Rev.
That's like another language to me. Super core to Rev means nothing to me.
Well, that was in her internal Slack.
Also that killed me about this whole thing is that like all of these, like all of the evidence of all this, it all took place on Slack, and it's like not even Bill Gates' daughter will use Microsoft Teams.
Yeah. What the hell?
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
That she had a choice and she was like Slack. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if she did use Microsoft Teams, if they would have been able to do a better scrubbing. Like she could have found somebody at Microsoft to clear the servers before.
Totally. But that's also probably why she didn't, because she's like, I know that if I go on Microsoft Teams, somewhere daddy can read those.
Yeah. So in some of the Slacks that have now been made public through Bloomberg, Phia explains that the illegal mechanism that they're using, make sure to use it because, like I said, this is super core to Rev, which is just like an embarrassing, that's crazy talk.
Yeah.
What she's saying is this is very core to our revenue generating capabilities. And if you're a CEO, it's important for you to talk in short words. I have very little time.
Super core to Rev. Got it. Yeah.
Here's one from Sophia Kiani. She is asking about dropping a cookie even if somebody doesn't click on the Phia link. So what we just described, which is against legal compliance that these websites are supposed to use. And the engineer explains to her, like, this behavior could put your extension at risk of removal from the Chrome web store. He keeps explaining again and again, this is not aligned with compliance. You really shouldn't be doing this. And she goes, yeah, whatever we can do to keep these cookies dropping would be amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So once the news came out and they said, so sorry, I don't know how that happened. We're going to turn it off right now. Bloomberg reports that the company's average daily revenue dropped from $80,000 a day to $10,000 a day.
Okay.
So it's like a 90% drop.
Yeah.
Plus they had to start offering refunds to brands.
But also just as like an aside, like, you know, in a pretty new startup, if you're doing 10 grand a day in revenue, like that's something to be like proud of and good. Like this is so frustrating because they're trying to reach for this like stratosphere of like to defraud people essentially. But it's like you were on a good path. You could have done this a legitimate way.
Well, here's the frustrating thing to me. The reason that they need to be making $80,000 a day in revenue and the reason they were pressured to do so is because their valuation was $185 million pre-revenue.
Right.
Which means they then have to justify it. They probably should have been valued somewhere in the $10 million range, which would have made a $10,000 a day revenue seem great.
Right.
But when you have that, when you have investors putting in that amount of money, your only choice to justify it, once you realize that this is a completely busted business strategy, is to do fraud.
And in what world is it ever going to be a $180 million business to be a affiliate link coupon company? You know, that's not like groundbreaking. It's not like unique tech. It's just like, it's the most basic, like, oh, we'll use influencers to be like, I like this shirt and you can get it with this affiliate link. It's like 101 type of stuff.
In this economy?
Yeah.
Like, and you'll remember if you listened to this episode on the Patreon, the people that they were raising money from were name brand famous wealthy people. Khloe Kardashian, Alex Earl, Jessica Alba, Priyanka Jonas, Sydney Sweeney, Paris Hilton, Mindy Kaling, like these very wealthy people who were giving them bippity-boppity-booping at them and not necessarily doing the due diligence on the back end. And like I said, that investment that valued them at $185 million was all before anything was coded at all.
And we talked about this in the first episode. We talked about this where Phoebe Gates was like, maybe my name will get me in the room, but then what you do in the room is what matters.
Because frankly, once you get inside a room, it doesn't matter how you got there. Once your foot is in that door, you're there. And I think that was like the biggest learning.
The reason these people were giving you money with no due diligence is because they probably thought to themselves, this is Bill Gates' daughter. It will be on the up and up.
Right.
There's no reason for me to believe that this girl born into billions of dollars has any need to scam people.
I'm not sure what they were thinking.
Yeah.
I really don't know. Like, I'm not against private capital funding businesses in general. Like, sometimes there is a need for somebody who has a really good idea or an invention or a discovery, and they just don't have access to capital that they need to like build the thing, to get a lab, to whatever, do the testing and trials that they need to do. And like, sometimes there is a need for private capital, but like, explain the private capital needed to build Phia to Cornelius Vanderbilt's ghost. You know what I mean? Like, what we're talking about when we talk about private equity in terms of the way it was built originally in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, like, this is not it.
Right.
This is just money laundering. I don't know what it is.
Well, this is also certainly just not it's not an expensive business model, right? Like, they don't need real estate. They don't need product. Like, they need a few developers and they need some people to like do business development, to reach out and be like, hi, we'd like to partner with you. And like, this is a 10-person operation or could be. So like, this is not something that requires millions of dollars to start up.
What then happens when you're somebody like Phoebe Gates, who is like, for me to be successful, I need my first business to be a $185 million venture before I even do anything. Like, what happened to the building a business out of my garage and giving me a proof of concept and making it work and then growing users organically and then showing that, I actually do need $10 million to expand into a new office.
Totally. It's so hard to like quantify what it probably does to your brain to grow up in an environment where $12 million is not a lot of money. Like, I don't know how you have any type of normal grasp on reality or what a business should look like. Because if you feel like a failure because you're making $4 million a year or whatever, like, I don't know how you go through life that way.
So one of the questions that we've been getting from our listeners is, will there be criminal charges? And I'd say the overwhelming sentiment on TikTok is no, there won't be. Now, I will tell you that people who have endeavored in this cookie stuffing before, like at eBay, they were charged by the SEC. They did serve 15 months in federal prison. So it's not completely out of the norm. But of course, people are saying, no, it won't happen because she's Bill Gates's and Melinda Gates's daughter. I'm curious what you think about this.
I think it's pretty safe to say in general, someone that connected and powerful for what is ultimately like a low grade crime, despite being a real fraud and despite the precedents here. Like, I would think she is likely to avoid jail time, but public sentiment against this type of business is pretty rabid right now. People are feeling injustice around, the practices of major businesses. And, Bill Gates isn't exactly the wonderkind he once was, like, beloved guy. He wasn't. He tried, he had curing malaria and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And like, he really made a play of being like, it's me, the good billionaire. But people see through that at this point. The truth is out after the Epstein emails. And so that's how I could see it going the other way. But if I had to like bet money on it, I would say she will not face criminal charges. I
have 2 points for her prosecution and one against.
Okay.
The first is your point about how big the amount of pressure that could possibly be on prosecutors for them to go after a crime like this. Like you mentioned, this is a pretty small fraud, $185 million company. Just for perspective, Charlie Javice's Frank fraud, that was $175 million company, but Sam Bankman-Fried, for example, that was a $32 billion company, right? So it's not necessarily one-to-one for the bigger the business, the more likely the conviction, or the more likely the charges. And sometimes we like to think the prosecutors would bring charges based on the merits of the case, but oftentimes it is public pressure. And I could see, not necessarily in this administration, but maybe in a future administration, them being like, you know what, rich people aren't going to get away with this anymore,
right.
Starting with Phoebe Gates. And we said in the last episode that Bill Gates might say the same thing, that he might say, you know, us as a family, we've gotten away with a lot of shit, but Phoebe, you're on your own.
He's going to throw Phoebe under the bus.
Yeah. The other thing is, one thing that the Department of Justice really does not like that you do is to rip off rich people.
Right.
And we've talked about Ty Lopez is a great example of this. Somebody who ripped off normies. You can generally get away with that. When you rip off Kim Kardashian, when you rip off Sydney Sweeney, they do not like that.
Right.
They do not like when you rip off Jamie Dimon. In Elizabeth Holmes' case, she ripped off George Shultz. Like, that is a big no-no. So that's, I think, another reason. But of course, if I'm a prosecutor, it might be like professionally disadvantageous for me to go up against Bill Gates. So we're going to keep watching this. The reason why we're not doing a full episode on Phia right now is, frankly, there just isn't that much out there now. There's 2 articles about it that we'll link in the show notes. But unlike Selena Gomez, where we have 2 very long form articles and we have the 48-page shareholder lawsuit, we have a lot more to go on. So that's why we're focusing the rest of the episode on the Selena Gomez case, which honestly is even juicier.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get into it.
I am interested to see what happens. Like,
yeah.
I think my gut is that, like, she gets away with a slap on the wrist. She does not spend even a minute in prison of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll be on to the next, like, semi-tech scam in no time.
Do you think that she will take accountability, or do you think she'll say it was a misunderstanding and they just don't want me to succeed because I'm a woman and a woman in tech type of thing?
Yeah, because of who my dad is. They're actually like, the thing, people call me a nepobaby, but it's actually held me back. People have come after me for this reason. And then I think, if anything, like, the sense that I get from just like the little public appearances I've seen of hers is that, like, what she wants to be more than a successful business person is famous.
Yeah.
And I think if she wants to go like the Anna Delvey route or whatever, like, she can do that now. Yeah. She can be like, hey, I was in the news. I'm famous. I'm young. I'm good looking enough. Yeah. Like, and I'm on Summer House.
I could totally see her on Next Gen NYC, 100%. Okay, you ready to move on to Selena Gomez with corporate gossip number 2? Which is Selena Gomez mentally fitness money in her pocket. Selena Gomez has been accused, along with her mother and former business partner, of defrauding investors in her mental health site called Wondermind. Reporting for this section is coming from New York Times, The Cut, Bloomberg, and the shareholder lawsuit, all of which are linked.
Terrible name, by the way.
Wondermind.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is, Robby, like, we are awash in mental health startups, and I feel like the name options are dwindling.
They're getting low. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. Okay, brain.
Fix me, brain.
Fine. Brain, okay.
The startup Wondermind, run by Selena Gomez, her mom, named Mandy Teefee, and a co-CEO and Forbes 30 Under 30 recipient, Daniela Pearson. If that's not foreshadowing, I don't know what is.
You get a child star momager and you partner them up with a Forbes 30 Under 30 person. You're about to get some of the most scandalous, unscrupulous shit you could imagine.
Again, you don't even need to know anything about finance to know. You know what? I'm going to sit this one out.
I'm going to walk away from this one.
All right. Here they are explaining Wondermind. This is Selena Gomez and her mom, Mandy Teefee.
Feel however you want to feel that day. And it's kind of how Wondermind started, was just a conversation between my mom and I. And I loved that we were able to talk to each other about our own mental health issues.
It's described as a mental fitness ecosystem. So it really sounds like you're being deliberate in how you're positioning a company like this. How do you see Wondermind sitting next to so many other services that are focused on mental health?
Well, technically, we're not a service. So the ecosystem component is basically, we have different pillars, such as film and TV, editorial. What makes us different is we go from the outside in. So we are really setting up what our company is by what the consumer needs, instead of us giving them what we think they need.
This is like, I've been co-hosting this show for a little while now, and I've never been like had the experience more where I've seen clips of people like presumably speaking English, and then at the end of it, I come away being like, I don't know what was just said, like. Oh, first of all, we have verticals and we have, Omen and our entertainment, and then we have content, and then some people are inside looking out, we're outside looking in. We're
As
not going
opposed
to get
to,
like,
you'll remember the incitables that we talked about. Like, what isn't outside looking in? So in April 2022, Wondermind raises $5 million in Series A funding. In their presentation, they said they had 0 users, 0 launch products, and 0 revenue. Just 4 team members and a big vision. I don't know who that 4th team member is because I'm showing you right now the cover page of the 3 of them, and I don't know.
Was it when she was dating Justin Bieber? Maybe the 4th is Justin Bieber.
They valued themselves at a pre-money valuation of $95 million. And then once they raised $5 million, they'd have a post-money valuation of $100 million.
Okay. So the 5 million added exactly 5 million. Yes. Perfect.
Let me show you maybe this will be more clear to you. This is from the pitch deck where they say that their company has a potential value of actually $4 billion with the 3 verticals: media, product, and production.
Media, 1 billion, production. Oh, product. They've decided product is twice as valuable as the media and production, which seems like if Selena Gomez is your selling point, it's the media and production that's really going to be the thing. But okay. And the product is semi-undefined. Right?
We'll get into some of their ideas. Okay. So the investors who brought the lawsuit that we're talking about had invested $1.2 million of the $5 million that they were asking for. I think it's important to know that not anybody can be an investor in a private company. You have to be what's called an accredited investor. An accredited investor is somebody who has a certain level of net worth, so it's about $1 million, or you need to be making $200,000 to $300,000 a year. In order to do this. And generally they do that so that they protect people who might make an investment and then that's all the money they have. It protects normies from being scammed. And then the thinking is like, if you're wealthy, it's some indication that you have the knowledge to not get scammed. Although I think that's questionable.
Sure.
So investors heard this pitch and their promise that Selena Gomez, who is at this point the 4th most followed person on Instagram with 400 million followers, would be heavily involved in the company. And she's doing a lot of the press at the beginning. She's on the cover of these magazines. And they're told that Daniela Pearson, who would be the co-CEO with Selena's mom, was an experienced executive worth $200 million who had already built a $40 million a year media company. And the Wondermind team said, we already have a stacked pipeline of deals on the horizon, and includes advertising deals and a groundbreaking app that would match the services offered at an inpatient facility that costs $1,500 a day.
The app would match those services.
Yes.
Of an inpatient facility that costs $1,500 a day.
I don't know if that's in the media vertical or the product vertical, but
I think it's product. Yeah.
So let me tell you some of the products that they were working on. What was going on? What were they pitching? At times, this company said that they were making movies about mental health, including one with Jessica Chastain and the producers of the Silver Linings Playbook, that they'd made a snack food. They talked about a Cheeto with ashwagandha powder.
With Prozac on it?
Yeah, basically. One of the tools on the app was going to be After Hours, which was a special room in the digital world where users would spend time during the hours of midnight and 4 a.m., where people have, she claimed, the highest level of suicidal ideation. And inside the room would be therapeutic entertainment, games, or whatever, so people don't feel so alone.
But like
this is Mandy
digital
describing.
Room?
Yeah,
chat room?
It's like a Second Life type of thing.
Okay.
The activities, Mandy said, would be guided and led by therapists, but therapy would not be offered. And then there would be an interactive journal where the app would tell users that they seem to be leaning into negative self-talk. I don't know how it would know.
Yeah.
She added that there would be some sort of edible product to go with the app. So one that she, quote, couldn't get too deep into, but that would involve somatic experiencing. It wouldn't be a supplement, said Mandy, but it would be a sublingual. It would dissolve and fizzle like an Alka-Seltzer.
This truly like... This is all stuff that like anyone who's investing money should look at you and be like, what the fuck are you talking about right now? So far, your idea is to put a bunch of people with suicidal ideation in a chat room together at 1 a.m. and feed them something that's going to make their mouth foam. What the fuck are you actually talking about? No, you can't have any money.
$4 billion. Do you know how many people would have to be in on this fucking Roblox? Like, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay, well, so say you.
Yes.
But for the first 3 years of this company's existence, the strategy was working. At least it has the illusion of working.
Okay.
It was getting press. You know, it had made Inc.'s annual list of the fastest growing private companies. Revenue was coming in from advertising on the newsletter and the website. And there was a podcast. There was no film or TV production, but they were hiring more employees. But unbeknownst to investors, in August 2025, co-CEO Daniela Pearson would be again on the cover of Forbes.
All right, everybody. I don't know if we have a name for you guys. Do we say gossipers? Do we say Becca heads? I don't know what the word is, but this is just an announcement for me. I am taping a stand-up comedy special in New York City on September 26th, the Triad Theater on West 72nd Street. Ticket sales are live now, and I would love for some of the Becca heads, some of the gossipers to come out to that. Ticket link would be in the show notes. I think it might also be in the link tree for the show. You can get it on my Instagram. I have it in the link tree there. But we would love to see you at that show. Becca's going to be there as well, not on stage, but, you know, there's a hand to shake. And I hope that you can come out. I would love to see you there. This is a big deal. For me, this is a special that I'm just like pouring my heart into, and I want to share it with as many people as I can. Hopefully you'll join us for it. Thank you.
But this wasn't the fluff that we're normally used to seeing. Robby, I'm wondering if you could read us this headline.
Smoke and mirrors, how this entrepreneur exaggerated and self-promoted her way into turmoil.
You read this article?
Yes.
Like, what were your main takeaways? And then we'll go into
well,
it.
Can I tell you the one thing that I remember the most?
Yeah.
Is that, like, because it's like it's like a siren going off when I see it now. There's one specific expression that's come up so many times since I started this podcast with you.
Can I guess? Can we say it in 3?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Fake it till you make it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was it, right? She was like, the thing is, what she was describing was like, you know, my company wasn't like, it was small. So like I had made fake email addresses for different employees, and I was sending emails and like stuff like that is like, that is kind of hustle culture. Sure. I don't really care about that. But it's like the second you see fake it till you make it, that is the reddest of red flags for what is to come.
The other thing, and this is what I can't get over, I'm like, fake it till you make it just means have confidence in yourself.
Yes.
Until you actually have the skills.
Yes, it doesn't
to back
mean
it up. It doesn't mean lie.
Fake financial reports.
It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. And I don't know how that got so bastardized. But yeah, let's move to corporate gossip number 3, which is once you meet Diane von Furstenberg, you have 7 days before you turn into a scam troll. So this bombshell article from Forbes alleges that Pearson kind of Anna Delvey'd her way into her position at Wondermind as co-CEO. Her newsletter that she started at Boston University, it was called The Newsette, and it was only worth a fraction of what she had alleged that it was worth. At 24, she makes an impression on Diane von Furstenberg, who is bingo.
Yeah.
She shows up on every fucking episode. And in this one, she shows up a lot. Diane von Furstenberg, who's very involved in the tech companies through her husband, Barry Diller, he connects her. This woman knows everybody. And she connects Daniela with other executives, including RX Bar founder Peter Rahal, who had sold 50% of his company for $300 million, and he was flush with cash.
And Diane von Furstenberg keeps coming up as like, she is like the bippity-boppity-boop fairy godmother. Yeah. Like she just like appears and waves her wand and suddenly a new like scam has happened for someone.
Anytime you see her, like what I said, anytime you see her or just a wrap dress in general, you need to hold on to your wallet. By the way, he now runs the protein bar company, David. He tossed Daniela $2.5 million for a 1.25% stake in the Newsette, which then valued her company at $200 million. Later, independent experts would say that the company was worth about $12 million. Mm-hmm. Forbes had reached out to Rahal after they found this out, and he said, I actually didn't even look at the financials. I just gave her $2.5 million.
That's I don't understand. I don't understand. I would love to know the why of that.
It's got to be a combination of like, I'm a millionaire, so I know a future millionaire when I see them. Or
the Diane von Furstenberg vouch,
I'll give this girl some money and maybe you can do something for me, connect me with Barry Diller. There's got to be a favor situation going on. I mean, otherwise, I think you just can't do math.
Yeah.
Or you're not using your eyes and ears.
Yeah, that's a wild amount of money to just give to someone. Yeah.
For us. But the other part of it is, so who cares?
Right.
I mean, I have $300 million. I'll give you 2.5. I'll give somebody else 1. I'll give somebody else 5. I mean, and if one of those ventures does well, then I've tripled my money.
Right.
But no one knew any of this at the time. Daniela was able to say that her company was worth $200 million. And she nominates herself for a position on the 2022 Forbes Richest Self-Made Women list and gets it.
Good for her.
And all of the positive press that comes with it. She's getting speaking engagements. Here she is at Stanford talking about DVF and another founder that we have talked about in this podcast. And keep in mind this woman's position at the time as allegedly one of the biggest self-made millionaires in the country.
It was a lot of hustling and struggling. And, there were definitely lucky points. DVF that, sat here. I actually flew with her the first time I ever came to Palo Alto. We stayed in Ann Wojcicki's or NW guest house. And I was like watching Shark Tank with like the Google heirs. They were so cute. But I came here because I convinced her for her In Charge movement to do something with Facebook. And I met Mark Zuckerberg and I shook his hand and I started to sell him at 23 years old. And she was like, stop it. And then we like died laughing the whole way back. But she's the one that opened so many doors for me, like introducing me to Amazon. And that became one of our biggest clients and, was responsible for tens of millions of dollars of revenue over the years.
Look, you get girl bosses together. They're just going to girl boss together. Girl bosses be girl bossing,
Her relationship with DVF is interesting. I'm going to show you another Instagram clip. Maybe you can describe what you're seeing.
Diane von Furstenberg kissing her. I wouldn't quite call it romantic, but it's motherly.
Here's another. This is a birthday post from Daniela Pearson to DVF. I'm going to say that they have like a grandmother-granddaughterly relationship. Like if I didn't know any better, I would think that these two women were related. They're together all the time.
A Mother's Day post.
Yes.
Yeah. Terrible song, by the way.
I would never be where I am or who I am without you. And I'm forever grateful for what you saw in me at 23 years old. From that moment, you didn't just take me under your wing. You let me fly and all this stuff. And I mean, clearly they have a very tight relationship, which I just think is notable. With the cloud of being able to follow DVF wherever she goes, and having allegedly a $200 million company, she joins Wondermind. Here's the NASDAQ headquarters and a big billboard of Mandy Teefee, Selena Gomez, and Daniela Pearson. Things suddenly start to dissolve, though, unfortunately, for Pearson, because, press and clout can only get you so far and you do need to deliver. So like the Amazon partnership that she has dissolves in 2022 and she starts to lay off employees at the Newsette and shut it down, even though she's pitching to investors and customers as if the business is still active. And that's at that point she kind of moves to Wondermind full time. And allegedly she is a complete nightmare to work with. This is a trend that continued from her days at Newsette. Quote, she jeopardized relationships with clients. She dominates sales calls with details from her personal life and turned down future campaigns they offered because the money wasn't immediate. She denied people on our team their annual bonuses. And then 5 minutes later, she's on Instagram posting all these stories about her new Chanel rollerblades and new marble kitchen she's installing in her Soho apartment. A former employee writes, I had never before in my life worked with someone who knew so little but thought she knew everything.
Mm-hmm. Take it till you make it.
The reviews from the Newsette are pretty horrific too. They say this Daniela is one of the most out of touch, narcissistic, and deceitful people I had ever met. She exploits her partial notoriety and mental health disorder to deepen her pockets and falsely claims a rags to riches story.
I don't begrudge anyone like designer stuff. Like, please, if it looks good and you can afford it, go for it. But I would be willing to guess that there's not a single cool person in the world who owns a pair of Chanel rollerblades. Like, there's something not okay with you. There's just like there's that doesn't make sense as a Chanel product, and it doesn't make sense as a rollerblade product. You know, go get regular rollerblades and a $5,000 gown, but like Chanel rollerblades is fucking
They're just not
insane.
known to hold their value.
It's just not really like, no one's really playing hockey in the Chanel blades, you know?
In January 2023, she leaves Wondermind, and investors are told it's a mutual decision because she's going to move on to bigger and better things. I want to put a pin in the actual reason that she left.
For the record, I've been at a company that was acquired by another company, and their CEO came with one who was like, your CEO is going to be, you know, they'll transition for a couple months and then they'll leave. But like, I can't even imagine being on the floor of a company when they're like, your co-CEO is leaving, but I leave you in the competent hands of Selena Gomez's mother. Like, okay.
Yeah. You're going to get even more worried when we get to the part about Selena Gomez's mother. So you might be wondering, what did Daniela Pearson do next? She went on a failed side quest to buy the magazine Forbes with a 28-year-old entrepreneur named Austin Russell, who was at once known as the world's youngest self-made billionaire and is now bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
That whole project ends up fizzling out pretty embarrassingly. She starts another company called Be a Breadwinner with a JP Morgan executive that she meets through Kevin Hart. She pitches an exclusive to Forbes about this company, and the Forbes reporting team squashed it because obviously they knew they had her number. They knew that she was, quote, an increasingly desperate person with hyperbolic tendencies.
Yeah.
And when she finds out that the story was killed, she emails the CEO of Forbes, quote, blocking the story seems like a repression of freedom of speech or some sort of discrimination. Let me know if you have an answer to this or if I need to loop in my family office team.
Hey, family office team?
It's not repression of freedom of speech if I don't
run an article, run a PR puff piece about your new company.
After that, according to the Forbes expose, she starts another company, this one called Chasm. It's to address the gender pay gap. It's an invite-only club of the most successful men and women in the world who contribute $25,000 annually. Chasm promises to award monthly grants and offer resources to female founders. Like, that sounds like a gifting tree.
Yeah, none of that will do anything to address a wage gap or a pay gap. It's like that. Those are unrelated things.
She just wants $25,000 from people every year.
Yeah.
$25,000 a year. Okay, so all of that information I just took you through was exposed via Forbes in August 2025. And it starts making its rounds among Wondermind employees and Wondermind investors who are like, what the fuck?
Huh. Yeah.
We invested in this company because you brought us Daniela Pearson.
You said you were going to put ashwagandha on Cheetos, and we thought, well, that is a business model that makes sense.
Well, you said this woman had a media empire. You said that she had this newsette. You said she was worth $200 million, and it was all a farce. And according to the shareholder lawsuit, the plaintiffs, the investors, immediately contact Mandy Teefey for an explanation. Shockingly, Teefey responds that before her ouster from Wondermind, Pearson had misappropriated investor funds to fund her lavish lifestyle, including to pay the rent on her New York City apartment, which was approximately $60,000 per month, among other personal expenses.
That's in New York City. That is a 2-bedroom with 1 bath.
No, that is crazy.
No,
I mean,
that's
like a
crazy.
penthouse,
No,
Central Park,
anywhere in the world,
duplex.
That's completely
insane.
I have a room just for my Chanel rollerblades.
But investors are like, were you going to loop us in on this? Like, this woman's committing embezzlement and you were never going to tell us until this article came out.
Yeah.
And now you're just kind of telling me that she left because she was embezzling money?
Right. And it's all her fault and I had nothing to do with it.
I can't imagine being these investors and barely getting through the weekend when another article drops, this one from The Cut, that focuses on Mandy Teefee herself. So let's go to corporate gossip number 4, which is Mandy Teefee cigarette moms her way into the SDNY's crosshairs. Another bombshell article comes out, and this details even more mess within Wondermind, centering on Selena Gomez's mom, who apparently has been suffering from a long-standing substance addiction issue and mental illness and was nearly incapacitated while she was leading this company. I just want to quickly touch down on Teefee. She had Selena when she was 16 years old in a pretty rough neighborhood near Dallas, according to her retelling. She's involved in community theater, when she's in her early 20s, and she lets young Selena tag along. And then next thing you know, she's a global superstar, right? And she's managed by Mandy. And their relationship has always been rocky, and they go through periods of not speaking to each other, or even worse, they speak to each other through TMZ. But they reunite before COVID, and it's actually during an interview that they do with Daniela Pearson that they all start to bond over their struggles with mental health. So here is a ABC News feature with the three of them.
The three bonded during the pandemic when Daniela, featured on Forbes 30 Under 30, reached out to Selena and Mandy for an interview on mental health for her popular newsletter, The Newsette.
I got on the Zoom with them during the pandemic. They were so open and honest and vulnerable and real with me that they ended up being the 4th and 5th people that I ever told in my entire life that I had OCD.
I was diagnosed originally with bipolar, but then they ran all the proper testing. I had ADHD with trauma.
The Wondermind team is hoping to share the tips and tricks they've learned from their own therapy sessions.
Okay. So you kind of have this found family situation, us 3 girls against the world, and we're going to completely change mental health in America. Okay. Here's a picture that year of Mandy Teefee with, maybe you can just describe it.
Joe Biden, Jill Biden, and I guess whoever the Surgeon General at the time was.
Yeah. They're at a Mental Health Awareness Month conference at the White House. Obviously, at the launch of the company, Selena is super involved. But quickly, Mandy tries to kind of push her aside and take the reins. When a lot of people at Wondermind are like, let's use Selena's face on everything. She's like the most famous person in the world. Mandy tells them not to, saying, this site is not Selena's site. We don't want to be like, this is Selena's brand, which from a financial perspective makes no sense.
Sure.
Also, the fact that Selena's other company, Rare Beauty, is like one of the most successful beauty brands in America right now, which weirdly also has its own mental health initiative, doesn't really make any sense.
Look, this will probably end up getting cut because I'm a man being a man, but like the beauty industry and the like brain wellness industry seem like particularly at odds with each other, just like on their face, like I don't think there's like maybe anything that's done more to hurt mental health than like the idea of like the importance of beauty standards. For people. So like those are 2 combating things.
Well, you could say the same thing about like mental health tech.
Sure. Of course.
It's just crazy. So Mandy doesn't really want Selena involved at all. She's declining very lucrative deals because they want Selena in the deal. And employees are kind of picking up the vibe that Mandy was trying to step out of her daughter's shadow and that the vibes between them were very tense. Teefee has complained to the press at times that her daughter's celebrity made it difficult to build her own reputation as a producer. She said, the momager title still follows her. I call it a nepo parent, she says. Mandy and Daniela also didn't get along. Apparently, they were screaming at each other constantly. They had to like turn the white noise machine on in the office to like not traumatize the staff. And Daniela's main concern was that Mandy wasn't doing anything. And I'll say broken clock. Because according to the Wondermind staff, Mandy would disappear for days to weeks, have unpredictable outbursts, and if she wasn't MIA, she'd be sleeping at the office, where she seemed to stay for days without bathing, sometimes without changing her clothes. She told employees that she was working too hard to drive the 20 miles back to her house where her husband and daughter lived. She has a younger daughter, preteen daughter. But people were like, that doesn't make sense because you're here just chilling.
Okay. This is where I kind of really relate to Mandy.
Okay,
here.
tell me.
If I had a daughter who was worth like, I don't know, $200 million and
more like $1 billion.
$1 billion and like funding my lifestyle, then there's a pretty good chance I would just be holed up somewhere, like not showering, watching TV, ordering food, stuff in 5 days in a row. And people would be like, what's going on with you? And I'd be like, I'm just living my life, man. Things are fine.
Well, that's what people were saying. They were like, Selena, this might be a way for Selena to just get Mandy out of her hair.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like the way that like tech CEOs are like, I'll just have my wife do some kind of philanthropic endeavor. So she's not bugging me so much.
Yeah.
That seems like what's happening here. Yeah, to your point, employees saw her watching Schitt's Creek on a flat screen TV for hours at a time in the middle of a workday, which, like, if you've ever worked from home, that's not the craziest thing I've ever heard. Surrounded by takeout boxes and packages from luxury brands, she ordered delivery food multiple times a day, McDonald's, Krispy Kreme, Chinese food, and several staffers said the boxes tended to accumulate flies.
I will also say this. I love that, like, look, you can get rich later in life, but like your palate is your palate. And if you grew up with a trash palate like I did, a gutter palate, like there's no amount of money in the world that will, like, I'm not going to order from French Laundry in the middle of the day. I'm going to order McDonald's and Krispy Kreme.
Well, sure. But she's also spending $40,000 from Neiman Marcus, and those boxes are also piling up as well.
Palate. I'm just talking food. I'm just talking food.
She also seemed to be under the influence of substances. One staffer called her office a drug den, and they said that they were in the office when she snorted a line of Ritalin.
Welcome to Wondermind, the mental health app. This is our CEO's drug den. Oh, just ignore the McDonald's wrappers. You can kick those out of the way. We're just doing lines of Ritalin.
We're actually
Come
running
on
an
in.
experiment. She's actually someone who's not using the app.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have another office where a girl's doing yoga. And and then finally, she starts having hallucinations. She's telling people there are men outside trying to break into the office, that they couldn't be seen on camera. And where is Selena during this time? Unclear.
Mm-hmm. Filming Only Murders in the Building.
Somebody says this working at the company. I will say this with the utmost certainty, no doubt, no hesitation in my mind. Selena knew her mother was not well enough to be running that company. By the summer of 2023, this is after Pearson had left, around the time she's trying to buy Forbes, Wondermind is in the toilet. According to one staffer, TV said that her and Gomez had contributed $8 million of their own money and that she was trying to secure Series B funding. She said, Mandy Teefee tells employees in a town hall, I'm carrying the entire company. If the company went down, me and Selena will be fine, but none of you will be fine. I'm doing this to make sure you guys all have fucking jobs.
Thanks, Mandy. What a sweetheart.
Selena keeps pumping money into the company for another year, but then Wondermind starts missing payroll, and they still haven't produced anything. And Mandy tells everybody, hold on, everybody. We're getting Series B. Michael Bublé is coming on as an investor, and I just took out a home equity line of credit. I'm not kidding.
Okay. I put Xanax on Pirate's Booty, and people seem to love it.
Sounds good, actually. So all of this information that I've just described comes out a few days after that Forbes article about Daniela Pearson, and the investors are like, okay, now we have a problem.
Yeah.
We want our money back. So they email Mandy Teefee and they say, hey, in light of all this new information, we're going to go ahead and ask for a recall. She never really responds to them. This kind of keeps going back and back. Hey, I'm just following up on my email, hoping to get that wire transfer anytime soon. And then on April 8th of this year, according to the lawsuit, an investor follows up again, and Mandy actually responds this time. She goes, hi, Andrew. I guess I'm confused. I thought we returned your investment along with the other investors you came in with. So I'm confused about owing you updates. Please advise.
Okay.
She had never given money.
Yeah.
What I'm like, does she think, oh, I'm talking to somebody who's so rich that it's possible
they won't notice.
Yeah. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. Or I'll buy myself some time or what. Yeah, I don't know.
She keeps deflecting. She's like, oh, I don't really know. You're going to have to reach out to Selena's legal team. I can't really give you any answers on this. And that's where we stand right now.
Okay.
So the lawsuit is asking for a jury trial for damages with Selena Gomez, Mandy Teefee, and Daniela Pearson at the trial. Obviously, this is just a civil trial, but it's, from what I can see, this is wire fraud. Like, they could absolutely go to the Department of Justice. They could give them this information. Then the Department of Justice could file charges against the three of them.
Well, did they ever try to bring a product to market? Like, did they ever, like,
There
I
is
guess
a
what's the
website.
difference between investing in something and it's a shitty investment because the company, like, can't get off the ground because the leaders are the same leaders who you met who are a bunch of dunce caps, you know, or like, versus them just being like, we're pocketing, like, it seemed like they might have incompetently tried to get something off the ground.
So the three things that they had promised was to investors was Selena Gomez will be very involved. Daniela Pearson is a successful entrepreneur, and we have a deal pipeline that's already full.
Okay.
None of those three things were
Yeah.
true. And so the investors are basically alleging that they invested based on
That's
lies.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I also feel like I don't want to exonerate Selena Gomez here. Like, I don't know, but like, it's also unfortunate because it seems like this is someone being like, okay, like, I'll do you a solid, mom, and like, you can use my name and I'll give you money. And it's like, now she is embroiled in this thing where it's like, I don't know if she knew any of this was happening.
And she has like a reportedly very complex relationship with her mom.
Yeah.
And that was the other interesting thing about this episode is the mother-daughter dynamics that I can imagine here. Like, obviously Selena in many cases, I think people would kind of perceive her as mothering her own mother. And then in the case of Phia and Phoebe Gates, you have Melinda Gates and Phoebe. And Melinda Gates has made an effort to kind of put herself at an arm's length with Bill because of his behavior. Well, what happens when it's your daughter now too? And like the family dynamics at play here, I think are really interesting.
Yeah.
Because you just don't see it with mothers and daughters that often.
Right.
I want to add, Mandy TV is still on Instagram. She is posting pictures of Selena and her other daughter, and she's saying, my greatest accomplishments, love me or not, they are the coolest. One day they will see what a badass mom I am, who never gives up when they throw me in the trash.
That's oof.
And then here's another Instagram post. This is a meme of a Barbie, like a disheveled Barbie coming out of a trash can. And it says, me when I have to run the business I manifested. And she says, this is just 4 weeks ago. She says, oh, this is the same one. This is in that same carousel where she's saying like, even if they throw me away. Yeah.
It's, you know, posting a picture or your daughters and being like, one day they'll see how badass of a mom I am. Like, I don't know. All of that's gross. It's just gross. All of it's gross to me. And it's like using them as a prop and centering yourself.
Yeah.
And like and obviously, look, if she has this daughter and she was spending 5 days at a time in the office while her preteen daughter was just like only 20 miles away.
Right.
And she like, there's something not great happening there.
But then there's a question too of like, if Selena Gomez knew and she was putting her name on this company, and she is, look, she's 30 something, 34 probably. Does she have the fiduciary responsibility to let the board know, hey, my mom's going through something right now, and maybe we should find a different CEO because I don't have the capacity to run this company? That's what I would argue if I were the shareholders lawyers.
I'm just thinking like if I was a super rich dude and like want someone in my family was like, I have this business idea and blah, blah, blah. And like, I would just give them a bunch of money and I would do a couple Instagram posts for them. And like, I wouldn't like be like, let me do the due diligence here, like with my own family, probably. Like if I was doing it, like if it was an investment that was like a real investment then I would do the due diligence. But if like my sister wanted to start a business and like, I'd probably just be like, here's the money.
Yeah.
Use my name,
Use my name. Sure. But then you are,
but then you become
then
you're ensnared in this, you're responsible for it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just tough. She was somebody reached out recently to Mandy Teffy and said that she didn't say much about her current relationship with Gomez as of now. Mandy said the two had developed healthy boundaries and that their dynamic is supportive. Everything would have been different, she said, without Selena. I would have gone down a completely rougher path and might not even be here today. She saved my life. which is like kind of a lot of pressure to put on your daughter.
It's dark, but she's already said, like, I tried to commit suicide when I was 7, which is like, that's a level that's unbelievably dark, you know, like she's open about her struggles.
Yes. Let me just quickly say this before we move to the takeaways, which is, for what it's worth, just for completeness, Selena Gomez's lawyer, whose name is Matthew Rosengart, who just happened to also be the lawyer represented Britney Spears in her conservatorship case. He's a big entertainment lawyer. He says that the allegations that Selena Gomez engaged in any way whatsoever in any purported fraud or other wrongdoing are meritless, both factually and legally. Will defend those false allegations and are filing a motion to dismiss the baseless claims against her. The takeaway, my main takeaway for the Selena Gomez case is the funneling of money towards mental health startups.
Yeah.
And it's funny because in the other part of that Stanford interview, and I didn't play this part, but Daniela Pearson is like, one thing I learned in school is that no one's ever going to care about a problem unless it makes money.
The only way to change the world is to prove that your change can make a lot of money. And so instead of starting a fund or, a charity or something, I said, let's start a business.
So I needed to make it so that investing in mental health makes money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I started my company, Wondermind.
Yeah.
That is so disturbing to me. Number one, because all of these people who are funneling their millions of dollars down the toilet into this company, where that money could have been much better used at like a nonprofit. If you actually gave a shit about mental health, there's a million nonprofits who had been happy to take your $5 million.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going on here? Like, obviously, what do you mean? There's no ecosystem for mental health? It's like, I don't know what I'm like upset about the whole thing because
it's like a deeply cynical worldview, right? That like the only thing that motivates anyone is money. I mean, it's like very like advanced capitalism brain where you're like, you can't consider the possibility that some people just care about stuff because it's worth caring about. And like her point is taken. She's not completely wrong, I don't think. Like money is certainly like a motivator, especially if you're trying to get people to whatever, take some type of action. But like there's a lot of people, like maybe in your circle, people only care if there's financial gain to be had. But like there's a lot of people in this country and the world who believe some stuff is important just because it's important, and it doesn't have to be a money-making venture like the education of our children, for example. Like,
well, you could also, if you wanted to go capitalist brain on it, you could say that it saves us a lot of money when we invest in mental health, either via schools or via hospitals or whatever, because those people are less likely to commit crimes or end up in prison or whatever. Like, you could go down that path.
Yeah.
But this app ain't it.
None of it. I mean, first of all, there was nothing. There was, ashwagandha potato chips, media. So again, that's just production. That's just Hollywood people being Hollywood people, essentially. And then, suicidal second life, which is like, I don't even know what that part of the plan was.
Ultimately, the people who are responsible for this, but don't actually have to suffer the consequences, are the investors.
Yeah.
They're not getting on Wondermind. They're not getting on this app between 12 and midnight. They don't give a between 12 and 4 a.m.
Totally. Yeah. So like just trying to monetize this for tech in a way that all of it is just kind of to identify like there are people who are like with suicidal ideation who are suffering from insomnia related to that. And like to be like, I could monetize that in some way is kind of disgusting on its face.
Yeah. I'm just grossed out at the monetization of nearly everything in life.
Yeah.
And it just makes me want to go full Lud.
Monetization, gamification, and subscriptionificate, whatever that is, like those things in like every facet of our life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just nasty.
Yeah.
It's ugh. It's like a ooze that I'm trying to like. Do you remember R.L. Stein what was that?
Goosebumps? Uh-huh.
Where the slime kept trying to get the kid and then he became like a huge purple slime monster.
No, but that's
and it hardened.
Like that's how the purple slime.
He was stuck in the purple slime forever. And like that's exactly how I feel. Like I feel like this ooze is coming after me and I'm gonna be stuck in a cycle of monetization.
Capitalism is the
subscription
ooze.
And yeah. Anyway.
Goosebumps are so deep. When you really like think about Goosebumps, they're so.
I loved Goosebumps.
I really only think about them when I watch Wheel of Fortune because the letters you get at the end look like R.L. Stein.
R.L. Stein, you're right. Okay, any other thoughts before we wrap this episode?
Nope.
Okay. Let's thank our SPF sugar daddies.
Yes.
Do you want to do the honors?
Sure, I would love to. I would love to shout out our sugar daddies. Here we go. Starting from the top. Kelly Paxton. Do I say first and last name?
Yeah, whatever they have.
Kelly Paxton, Sarah Armstrong, Sarah Gilbert. Our Sarah's still going strong. I'm going to jump down to Sarah Burtis to keep our Sarah trilogy together. Kelly Jade, Nora, Justin, Anastasia Biggin, and finally, my guy, Michael Anderson.
Do we have 3 Kellys now and 3 Sarahs?
2 Kellys. It's the Sarahs are beating Kellys 3-2 right now.
Okay.
So if there's any Kelly out there who wants to even the score and become SPF sugar daddy, now's your chance to tie us up a little bit.
Yeah, we're looking for you, Kelly. Come on.
Looking for Kellys.
Kelly's only. Wait, I thought I saw Kelly. Oh yeah, you're right. Okay. Well, we love you guys so much. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you're having a great weekend. And we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.